No matter how mature I am, no matter what I've experienced, what I've learned, when it came to something that you found to be important or worthwhile, it was like, well, you still don't know. Like, we love your thought there, but no.
But we know better.
There was no trust still. Right. And that just kind of continued on throughout life. And it didn't matter how old I was. It was like, oh, I still don't know anything. Oh, I haven't gained any trust. I don't have any room to make mistakes still, even though you guys don't get phone calls about it. Like there was no change in that.
Welcome to When Our Adult Children Walk Away podcast, dedicated to one of the most painful and one of the least talked about experiences a family can go through, estrangement. I'm Dr. Janet Steinkamp. I'm a coach and consultant. I work with parents and families every day who are trying to find their way through the darkness of a broken relationship with their adult child. Whether you are a parent of a child who has walked away, an adult child trying to make sense of their own distance, or somewhere in the complicated middle of it all, this podcast is for you. We approach this topic with one rule: no guilt, no shame, and no blame. Estrangement is not a story about bad parents or ungrateful children. It's a story about human beings who lost the ability to connect and what it takes to understand why. Today, I'm doing something I've never done before. This podcast grew out of my own experience with estrangement. And for years, I've sat across from parents and families, helping them navigate something I myself have lived through. But I've kept my personal story private until now. Today, my daughter Brianna joins me, and together for the first time, we're opening up about what happened between us. The estrangement that changed everything, the silence that followed, and the long road back. I share this because I believe the most powerful thing any of us can do is say out loud, "This happened to me too." And we found our way through. This is part one of a 3-part series. In this episode, we go back to the beginning. Bria and I talk about what it was like growing up in our family, the community we lived in, the culture of perfectionism that surrounded us, and the communication patterns that quietly took root long before either of us understood what they were building up toward. You'll hear Bri describe what it felt like to grow up never quite feeling safe enough to be herself. You'll hear what happened when honesty was punished the same as a lie. And you'll start to understand how 1,000 small moments, none of them catastrophic on their own, can accumulate into something that eventually breaks a relationship apart. This is the story of the foundation, how we got here, and what neither of us saw coming. Welcome, Brianna.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad that you were willing to join me here. This is a tough conversation, but I think we've talked about doing this for a long time, and I think the time has come, and I'm just grateful for you to be here. So a couple quick disclaimers. This is not a therapeutic conversation. We do not provide therapeutic services. We are coaches, and we consult with families and encourage you, if there's any aspect in your life right now that includes mental health, that you seek out licensed professional care. There's some resources on the website, or if I can be of specific help, just email me. So we'll dig in here. So let's see, Brianna, we know it's super rare for an adult, a child, and a parent to actually talk in public about their circumstances. I think we might be the first and only. So fun to be out of the gate together, I think. So let's start at the beginning, should we? Okay, let's do it. So when you think about growing up and our life together, right, when our family was young and in those early days, what would you say were the key issues for you in our relationship in particular? And what was the buildup?
Well, I think that, there were things going on that were probably quite normal for children to experience with their parents. Just as you grow up, you're trying to figure out who you are and everything. But I think for me, there was always a lingering feeling of like judgment, unacceptance, and wanting, just where we grew up was a community that prided itself on perfection, I think. And so it was hard to not get caught up in that. And I think it did play a big role in our family back then. It was hard to ever feel like I could be myself. And some of this is just my own feelings. Doesn't necessarily mean you guys made me feel that way, but in the situation, it was how I felt. I don't know, there was just always like this need for perfection. And I'd like to say I was pretty perfect, but I had my own things going on.
Well, is it safe to say, even when you were home, there was no space for you to just feel safe, to just be yourself? Like you could never let down your guard. When I look back, that's how I see you.
Yes, always.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you and I are very similar. I think, I don't know exactly why that is, but neither of us have ever been really great at being vulnerable or showing emotions. And my sibling, who I love dearly, did take up a lot of the emotional bandwidth in the house growing up, which is fine. We're just very different individuals in that sense, but it did maybe push me further into, I guess, having that guard up and just kind of keeping to myself. It never felt kind of safe or worthwhile to dive into my emotions or to like share emotional, vulnerable things with you guys. One thing that I kind of find funny now, but didn't feel very funny back then was, a lot of people say or parents will say, like, if you tell the truth, you won't get in trouble or you won't get in as much trouble. That was just never true for us. Whether we were honest or we lied, there was always punishment, and shame is what I felt as a kid, and like a failure. So I just learned I might as well try to lie and get away with it, because either way there's going to be punishment. There was no like reward for, hey, it's okay, you made a mistake, thank you for being honest, how are we going to learn from this? It was like, you did what? Here's your punishment. So glad you told me. And it was, it was just kind of like and it was like, forget it. I'm not going to tell you about the things that I mess up on, because I'd rather just do my best to get away with it.
Right.
Which I can laugh at now, but it didn't feel funny as a kid. It was like this big weight, because it felt like either I was constantly hiding my mistakes, which, like, as a parent now, I do wish that our family had embraced failure more. I think it would have changed my mindset a lot as an adult and just growing up in general, knowing that failure is the only way to succeed. You have to fail at everything. You have to try. Right. There's no shame in it, but that's how we get to be who we are in life. So having to hide all of those things that felt shameful or like failures, even if they were something simple, like, I don't know, I was a pretty good student, like getting a B- on a test, like that didn't feel good. It felt like a failure. Or if it was, I don't know. I mean, I never snuck out because you guys were always awake.
I know it. We were brutal about that. You had no room to sneak out of that house. No,
but I would sneak out at friends' houses and then have to, like, hide that. But had I snuck out, which is a fairly common thing for a high schooler to do, had I been caught, it would have been would have been devastating to the family, and it would have been so shameful. It wouldn't have been like a learning experience, or that's a funny example, but there was just no room for mistakes, and everything but perfection felt like a mistake. So then it was just like, well, for my life to be easiest, I must meet all expectations. I must be a certain way. I must present myself a certain way. And in the community that we lived in, oftentimes it was just very catty and full of rumors and icky stuff. So if it was just like a dread of something I can't control. If you guys hear something and it's actually not true, I couldn't count on you guys believing me. You'd be like, well, why would so-and-so tell me that? And I'm like, well, I'm sorry an adult told you that, and I'm a kid, but I'm being honest. Yeah. So it was just like a lose situation is what I felt like as a kid, which did make me put up guards. It made me really hesitant to get close to you guys. And then, that's how it all kind of started. I don't think I even realized it was, I could see it was different than my friends' families, but all families have their things. Right. It just became more apparent as I got older that it doesn't have to be like that, and the weight of it all. And I think I'm like kind of a dramatic person in that sense, where like everything feels heavy. So probably some of that was me taking it on. Who knows what it would have happened if I did things differently as a kid. Like if I just came home and was like, hey mom, I'm totally messed up. I don't know. Like, this is what happened. Who knows what you would have done? Because I never did that because it just wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah.
I don't know. As I got older, I realized, like you kind of, at some point, everybody realizes their parents are just people. Like you're raised thinking that your parents are these are my parents, like they rule everything. They know everything. They know what's best for me. They have experienced everything. They are all knowing. And it's just like, actually, they're just people, we're all just people.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird realization when you get to that point, but that
Yeah.
played a role in how all of this has played out as well. Just the
I think
realization
sorry to interrupt. I think that is a really important point. That is a tough thing because you do think your parents, you trust them, right? I mean, we're supposed to be the ones who are the teachers and we do know best. I can remember thinking the lights coming on, they're starting to push back, right? That's a natural, normal thing for kids to do. But we didn't give you much room. And in particular, I didn't. Like you would get off the school bus and I would already have gotten 3 phone calls if there was a problem at school.
right.
Like
And then I just walk in the house and be bombarded.
Right. You didn't stand a chance. I remember not even letting you tell me the story. And what I know now, looking back, is how different that could have been. It could have been so different with better outcomes. I think that's one of the things you taught me. One of the insights I had later was how difficult that was for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it did feel like I had no chance to be trusted at all. So, and honestly, I was a pretty good kid. Like I
You were
really
a
was
great
a good
kid.
kid. So to have and to like see some of my friends and be like, they are
I know.
way worse kids
Yeah.
than me. Like I'm a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
So I just felt like even being a great kid still wasn't like a safe space to be in. Yeah.
You were a great kid. Both of our kids. Just to give our listeners a little bit of context, there are 4 people in our family, 2 children. We have been together for, I don't know, almost 40 years as a family. You're what, 33?
33. I've only been around.
Yeah. Your dad and I have been together 40 years. You are not 40 years old. And your brother's what, couple years older, 35?
He's 36.
And both your dad and brother are pretty outgoing, charismatic, fun-loving, lighthearted people. And that is not necessarily our way of being in life.
No. And they are.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes. And I think it's fair to say they're both maybe more in tune with their emotions.
Far more emotional. My gosh.
We know our emotions,
forward.
but they are like, which isn't our thing. And it shows there's a big difference and it's obvious, but it's good. Like there needs to be balance. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there are things to learn from people both directions, but for what we're talking about, it either can be pretty problematic. I mean, in one way, things don't feel like you're taken seriously. On the other hand, it's too serious. I mean, we were pretty tied to our opposites in that way.
Well, and Dad always wanted me to talk about my feelings and emotions. But at the same time, it was like a weird dynamic because he wanted me to tell him everything and be honest. And it's like, well, that's great, Dad, but you and Mom are going to go in that room and you're going to decide what my punishment is still, even if you tell me you love me still. The outcome is the same. And then I had to shut him down really hard as a kid, I remember. And I think that hurt his feelings. And I didn't know how to explain it back then or address it.
Did you ever feel like you had to take care of those emotions? Like, were you responsible to make sure people's feelings weren't hurt at the same time? You had a lot of stuff coming at you. You had a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember when it was exactly. I suppose it was just gradual, but certainly once I became pregnant, it was like, okay, you guys, that was like a big moment where I was like, wait, you're not my focus anymore. And honestly, you shouldn't have been my focus in the way I have made you my focus, because that was never supposed to be my job. But now I have kids coming of my own. Why am I managing your emotion? And that always felt like a weight. And I don't think I could have recognized it as a kid. Pretty much everything I did was, that I've talked about already, includes making sure to not upset the emotional balance within our relationships.
Like in
where
the
I would
household.
feel shame. Yeah. Or I would feel shame. You guys would feel as it was a failure to me. And if I failing you guys was like a horrific thought, but it all just plays into that, like managing other people's emotions.
Yeah. Well, it was a small town. And so you didn't, I mean, when I look back, I can see that you didn't have room. There wasn't space. There wasn't any, almost like a sense of being able to breathe. It was constant. Who was talking about who was doing what with, our families were so intertwined in this small town that was, fairly affluent. And so it was a lot of keeping up with the Joneses, as they say. And that was a big deal for me. I needed to be on the top. And that was a really difficult spot to put you in.
Well, I'm sure I know it wasn't all pleasant for you either, but
no, it was a waste. I look back now and I think, what in the world was I thinking about? Where did I go off the rails? I didn't grow up in an affluent household. I didn't grow up with money. Your dad didn't grow up with money. And we never really had a lot of money. So it isn't as if we were affluent. We were in this town trying to keep up. And I went off the rails. That's not to say I feel like I was a bad mom. It's that I wasn't the mom you needed or the best mom I could have been. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. I think it's likely every mom could look back and see that in how she raised her children.
Yeah. You guys were great parents. I didn't by any means have a, terrible childhood. That is not at all the case. You guys were great parents. You kept me safe. You put a roof over my head. You fed me. I got to do everything I wanted to do. I had everything I needed. And it's not like every day was this miserable life. It's just that there were things that weren't how I wish that they could have been. And yeah, that community was tough. It was honestly tough. The parents were worse than the kids. So it really put probably a whole bunch of kids from there that have similar feelings.
If nothing else, a lot of kids that came out of that community are in therapy today for a lot of different reasons, because
for sure
it was messy. So when did you become aware that these feelings, that the issues in our relationships, that the things where we were not aligned, we were not communicating well, I thought I was doing one great job, you weren't getting, things were not aligned. When did you realize that those issues were bigger than just a frustration or an irritant, that these were really problems?
Well, I remember throughout my childhood, like when I specifically like in high school, if I heard you guys talk to friends or our relatives about our relationship, it would just be lies, or if somebody was like, oh, you guys are so close. And you'd be like, oh, I know we have such a great relationship. I'd be like, wait, what? I don't feel that at all. And that sucks. That rather than, I don't think that you fully believed it. Maybe you did. I don't know. But like from my point of view, I was like, it sucks that you would rather just smile and know that we're like playing it off really well. And that's a win for you rather than to ever reflect. And I guess I don't know how you would have known, or if you did see that I was feeling these things or hiding things or not being out in the open, but hearing you or dad just pretend like everything was okay to others, I was just like, that sucks. Like that really sucks that that's more important to you than actually like reflecting and be like, maybe things aren't that great.
I think you're right. I think we knew that there were things that were not great. We went to family therapy, the four of us, on a couple different occasions. We knew that there were things that weren't great. They didn't strike me as so not great that our family would fall apart. Hindsight's 2020. And it's interesting to hear you say that was your experience listening to those conversations, because I don't remember feeling like we were presenting as false. I also know now in hindsight that there were huge disconnects.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For me, it felt completely false because I'm like, you guys don't know me at all. You know nothing about what I actually want, what I actually am interested in, what my biggest fears are, what my biggest desires are. You know nothing about me. So to hear you say like, oh, we're so close, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Then I guess I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I knew how to get close. I don't know.
That's fair. I'm not sure how you would have at that point. I don't know, because that age is weird to have. The ages we're talking about, I'm still a child where you are the authority figure, and to like to
junior
have
high in high school.
Yeah, to have the authoritative imbalance there I think that probably made it impossible from what we'd already developed as a relationship for it to have that change. Because I don't think I could have felt empowered the way I did as an adult to address our issues. I don't think I ever could have felt that was possible as a kid because that would have taken complete vulnerability for me, which I never would have done.
Right. Well, we never empowered you. I think empower is a great word, because we didn't, if you parent as an authority, you're not empowering the other person. The power imbalance is so huge. We never gave you that. And in particular, I did not give you the room to feel power, to feel empowered, to try it and fail. Like you said when we started this conversation, the thing about power is if you make a decision and it doesn't go the way you think, and then there's punishment for it, why would you ever try it again? And this is important because I think it played a significant role in how things were for you in college. It seems to me like by the time we left the state and left you in college, and that's how it felt, like we were leaving you. I mean, we thought you were wanting it that way, and I think you were in some really normal ways.
I don't have any.
But were you ready for it? I don't think we prepared you. We didn't give you room to be prepared for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was all signed up to go to Arizona before I stayed in Minnesota, so it's not like I hated Minnesota. I didn't even want to be there. So it's not. I didn't have any negative feelings towards you guys about. I was actually excited for you guys to leave. I was like, get the heck out of there. But
I'm only laughing because I mean, that was pretty clear by the time.
Yeah, but I do kind of remember it like not. This is probably just my bad memory and not holding on to things like this, but I don't really remember much conversation about it. I just kind of remember like one day. I'm sure this isn't exactly how it went, but just kind of like one day you guys were gone, and then it was like, oh, all right. Fly me out for Christmas. Like, I don't know. It just, there wasn't, which I'm sure is not how it actually went down, but for whatever reason, that's.
Yeah. It's pretty close.
The impression.
No, I think that's pretty close.
Okay. Well,
because I looked for a job for 2 years, found a job, and I was done. I too wanted out of Minnesota. I wanted out of that little town by then. I was terribly unhappy and professionally had sort of hit the ceiling. And I think that was a lot of it. I knew you weren't coming back. I knew Zachary wasn't coming back. My kids were not coming back, and I didn't want them to. It was not a healthy town. So I think what you're saying is actually pretty accurate. We just sort of bolted. But remember, just to give context, you had studied abroad for a semester on your own, literally on your own. It wasn't a university program. You got on a plane and went to South America.
Yeah, there was nobody else from the university there.
No. And we just let you go. We just let you go. And I think about that. In the context of power and self-confidence and understanding or maybe trusting yourself, it went like from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
We were making all the decisions and then sending you off to another country. To me, that was a pivotal mistake on our part.
That part didn't feel like a mistake to me. I had a great time, learned a lot, got to see the world,
right.
But it was
the mistake
weird.
It wasn't letting you go. The mistake was not giving you the room to prepare yourself for that kind of launch.
Well, to me, the weird part in hindsight was having that freedom to go do that, be independent, experience that on my own, then to come back. And it was like, no matter what I did, I never gained any independence from you guys when I was here. It was like, oh, I'm right back to asking permission to XYZ, or like, I'm right back to having to explain myself for this. Like, I just lived abroad for 6 months, and I had a host mom, and I saw how their families functioned over there. They didn't ask permission for anything. So now to come back and be like, oh, so no matter what I'm experiencing in life, no matter what I don't know, no matter how mature I am, no matter what I've experienced, what I've learned, what you guys never, when it came to something that you found to be important or worthwhile, it was like, well, you still don't know. Like, we love your thought there, but no.
But we know better.
Yeah, it was just like, there was no trust still. Like, you couldn't trust me to make my own decisions, even though at this point in life, I was very well aware, like, if I were to fail, consequences are on me. Like, I'm an adult at that point.
Right.
And that just kind of continued on throughout life. And it didn't matter how old I was. It was like, oh, I still don't know anything. Oh, I haven't gained any trust. I don't have any room to make mistakes still, even though you guys don't
Right.
get phone calls about it. Like there was no change in that.
What I'm hearing in here that really resonates and makes sense is that we didn't grow up with you as parents.
Mm-hmm.
You were growing up, finding your own way, and we were pushing you out of the nest, but we weren't giving you credit. We weren't acknowledging your, growing into a young adult. So I think what you're saying is very accurate. When I look back, I did not grow up as a mom. And I hear that from a lot of people, a lot of adult children. That's a theme. That is not, I think when people study these generations, they're going to look back and recognize that we didn't. We were helicopter parents and we never parked the helicopter. We just kept buzzing around you. And I think the question then is, especially for the people who are listening, how did that trip you up later? Like, how did that set you up for as you get older, the failures are bigger. The cost is bigger. The price is, higher.
I think that links a lot with the managing your parents' emotions, because if you guys are never growing up in your role, we have to grow up. We don't get to stay kids forever. Everybody has to grow up. So like our lives are changing. Our responsibilities are changing. Our consequences are changing. You guys are still wanting that same relationship, which just makes the load of managing your emotions heavier. Because it's like, life doesn't stop for us, but you guys acting like it's the same roles is ridiculous. Because I behind closed doors, I still have to go do everything that you had to do when you were my age. But now I'm having to either hide it from you, pretend like it's all okay, or lie about it, or bring it up to you and hear about it in a way that it's like, okay, you might not like it, but I don't have another choice right now. So
Right.
Now, okay, what do you want me to do with that?
Right. Like, what do you do with the judgment and the criticism and all that negativity while you're still trying to manage your own life? And yeah, it's so clear to look back at that now. So clear.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm more curious if other adult children in this have felt that as well, where it almost felt like babysitting emotions. It was like, okay, yeah, all right. Mm-hmm. When you get to a certain age, it's like, okay, mom. Okay, dad. Yep. And it kind of feels like almost a game. It's like, what are we doing here?
Right. I think it's a really common experience. At least that's what comes up in the surveys, is that the language sounds like, I can't be responsible for you anymore. Like, I've been taking care of you for years. And parents are like, what? We thought we were taking care of you. Yeah. And it is this huge disconnect. And again, once you understand it, it's so clear. And yet in the middle of it, it's like talk about a fracture. I mean, all the history changes when the light turns on.
Yes. If I'm saying it's exhausting to manage your parents' emotions as an adult, and then you're saying when you hear that as a parent, it's like, what? That's insane. All I've been doing is taking care of you. That combination is such a waste of energy. And I remember thinking that at one point, like, why are we doing this? Like this, we are spending so much time and energy, both sides, pretending to play a role that doesn't matter anymore. It gets us nowhere in life. Like this role that we're playing is just for ourselves. Like that's insane. And I don't have time for it. At some point, things come up. And I think that's probably like a push point for adult children when it's not like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing it. And now, and you're an adult too. And so I can't hold your hand through this. We still have that same role. So if I bring it up to you and say, Mom, stop wasting your energy on trying to care for me, that first of all probably feels awful to hear. There's not really a great way to say it. And then in that you have to unpack that everything's been fake. So then it's like, well, this isn't going to go well. So I think at this point, like I just need to step away.
That's where we'll leave part 1. Bree and I covered a lot of ground today. Childhood, trust, perfectionism, and the quiet accumulation of things that were never said. And I hope what struck you most is this. Nothing we talked about today was dramatic. Nothing was unusual. In fact, most of it probably sounded familiar. This is exactly the point. Estrangement rarely starts with one unforgivable moment. It starts the way ours did, slowly, quietly, one small crack at a time, until the weight of all those cracks becomes something neither person can carry anymore. In part 2, we're going to talk about what happened next. After years of building pressure, Bree made a decision. She stepped away, and our family went silent. We'll talk about what that silent actually looked like from both sides, what Bree was feeling during those years apart, what I was feeling, what it does to a parent to have their child disappear from their life, and what it does to an adult child to finally, for the first time, have room to breathe. And in part 3, because yes, there is a part 3, we'll talk about what it took to find our way back to each other. That part of the story is possible. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're listening to this podcast, I know it's probably because of something in your own life that brought you here. And I want you to know you are not alone in this. These conversations are hard, and they are worth having. If today's episode resonated with you, please follow or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us reach more families who need to hear these stories, and it means the world to us. You can also find resources, connect with me directly, and learn more about the work we do at whenouradultchildrenwalkaway.com. Until next time, you are not alone, and there is a way through.
Thank you for listening to When Our Adult Children Walk Away, presented by Dr. Janet Steinkamp in partnership with Balancing Life's Issues and produced by me, Kai. Want to connect with Dr. Janet? You can find resources, connect with her directly, and learn more about the work we do at whenouradultchildrenwalkaway.com. And be sure to follow and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube. Anything else to add, Miles?
Yeah.